There was a war on Zendo, several centuries ago, between a race of intimidating and ferocious beasts called Krampus and the Zenian people. The Krampus envied the Zenian people's lax and leisurely lifestyle and wished to use their powers to devour all the positive emotion throughout Zendo. The fighting got so intense that the creators of each race on Zendo got involved, eventually asking for the help of two people who were unparalleled in their ability to create. They were called the Architects, one named Adria and one named Belle. Adria was a wise, serious, well-built woman with blonde hair and blue eyes, whose arms had the strength to hammer through the strongest of Zendian elements without much trouble. Belle was a clever, jovial, thin girl with black hair that gradiented into an autumn brown, whose dexterous fingers could put together the machinery integral to making the most advanced of Zendian technology. Before the war broke out, the Architects designed and built many buildings and technologies Zendians now take for granted, like the levitating transports of the Oziv district, the icy structures of the Kolad district, and countless others. During the early days of the war, the Architects chose to stay away from the conflict, rather diverting their efforts to help repair the damage the war wrought onto Zendo. Unfortunately for them, the Ancients of Zendo had other ideas. To better arm their forces against the Krampus, the Ancients wanted the Architects to forge weapons for them. The Architects, of course, refused to waste their talents on such destructive desires, but that answer wasn't good enough for the Ancients. They threatened to take away the constructive talents the Architects had become known for, and as the Ancients predicted, the Architects caved into their commissions. With the work of the greatest smiths in Zendian history in their hands, the forces of the Ancients quickly turned the tide of the war, the powers of the Krampus simply being far outclassed by the work of the Architects. Blades of plasma, bolts of energy, and manipulators of gravity swiftly put the Krampus in their place. And not too long after, the Ancients returned the weapons they requested to their creators for safekeeping. For the next few centuries, the Architects would bring their focus back to bettering Zendian life. But not too long before the massacre, their eyes were caught by the possibility of one object being able to maintain peace. In pursuit of this goal, the Architects created the Crystal Gauntlet, the very thing that would bring the massacre to an end. The only problem was the gauntlet came into play far too late. It had been stolen by Macaroni Tony, one of the contributors to the Spectral Sapphire's creation, and used by him at the last possible moment before Barry could use the Sapphire's power to its full potential. Unfortunately for Herr Sturm, he didn't know the gauntlet had been stolen before sending his friends to retrieve it, and when they discovered the gauntlet had been taken, the Architects gave them the next best thing, the Valiant Blades, sort of blades composed of plasma, and the very same weapons that helped drive back the Krampus all those centuries ago. This visit by Herr Sturm's friends left quite the impression on Belle. In her eyes, they were heroes doing what they could to save the day. She greatly respected and even admired them for their demeanor. Ever since they left, an aspiration began to grow inside of Belle, one that couldn't be contained by the now constraining walls of her workshop.
That's a new look,
said Adria, interrupting Belle's daydreaming.
What's on your mind?
Oh, it's nothing,
sighed Belle.
You'd think it's silly anyway.
Don't be ridiculous, Belle. In all the centuries we've worked together, you haven't said a thing worthy of being called silly.
After a slight hesitation, Belle replied.
I want more than this.
A silence filled the workshop, until Adria broke it.
What do you mean? You love working here, don't you?
I used to be content just building things here with you, Adria, but ever since those people came for the gauntlet, something's changed.
She muttered.
Ah, I see.
Adria retorted.
You want to be like them.
Exactly!
Then I spoke too soon. You were right. I would find it silly.
Adria, what's wrong with wanting to seek out what more this realm has to offer?
Replied Belle.
There's nothing wrong with that. But there's everything wrong with the risk you put your life in to pursue it. Besides, you belong here. Both of us do.
And who's to say that? Who's to say where I'm really supposed to end up? For all either of us know, we could both be meant to drop dead right here and now.
What's your point?
My point is, none of us know where we're supposed to end up. The best we can do is go where we're called to, and right now, I feel I'm being called from out there.
Both the Architects stood facing each other, now only the whirring and maintenance equipment filling the air.
If that's really how you feel,
Adria sighed.
Then I guess there's no point trying to stop you.
She then reached behind her, amongst many of their work, saying,
But if you're going to go out there, you might as well be equipped to defend yourself.
As she held out a bow and the hilt of a valiant blade.
Where'd you get these?
I made them. Quite some time ago. I've known for a long time this place wouldn't be enough to keep your spirit satisfied forever, and turns out I was right. Just take them.
With a shaky grasp, Belle took the 2 weapons, managing to utter out a,
Thank you, Adria.
It's nothing really.
Adria replied.
Just promise me you come back to visit every once in a while.
With tears in their eyes, Belle and Adria shared a hug. Then the former left to journey the landscapes of Zendo. In her travels, she did her best to protect the weak, befriend all the wildlife she could, and discover the vast wealth of phenomena Zendo held among its stretches. Eventually, her travels found her deep within the Platni Forest, where she found an old shrine. If one didn't know any better, they'd think this shrine had been carved out of the wood of the massive tree that housed it. But Belle knew better. The shrine hadn't been carved into the tree, rather the tree had grown to create the shrine. Belle probably would have spent hours admiring the tree's handiwork if it weren't for what the shrine held. In the center of the shrine came a yellow glow, and upon further inspection, Belle found the glow came from a small yellow stone. When Belle held the stone, a yellow energy poured from inside it, filling her soul. Upon stretching her hand outwards, the same yellow energy began to spill from her palm and fingertips, causing vines to sprout from the wall the energy collided with. With these newfound abilities to manipulate plant life, Belle strove to bring the Platni Forest into a new age of natural prosperity, bringing scores of plant species back from the brink of extinction, while at the same time helping maintain those Zendian people and animal populations alike needed to thrive. And it was all thanks to the gifts provided by that Yellowstone. Unfortunately, things were about to take a turn for the worse. One morning, as Belle was tending to the older plants in her personal garden, the yellow energy she was using to maintain them fizzled out. In a confused panic, Belle rushed to the fountain and she kept the stone atop, finding the stone was no longer there. Looking over to an oddly shaped hole in the surrounding hedge, Belle saw a purple shape flying up towards the treehouse cities of the district. Belle grabbed her bow and blade and gave chase.